After purchasing the book and inputting the code, it arrived in only a few seconds right into Logan's room. "It will probably take him a few weeks or so for him to learn it," Logan said. "For now, he can stay in my room. Luckily, he doesn't need any food or anything, so as long as he stays here, he'll be fine." Quinn didn't like the idea of that. He could imagine either Peter accidentally touching one of Logan's prized possessions or getting a laser beam shot through the chest. Or Logan would say something that caused Peter to snap. "Let me try something," Quinn said as he walked over and grabbed the book himself. "Level 5 transformation ability book obtained. Would you like to store the book?" "No." "Option to use the ability book on family member Peter. Would you like to use it?" Although Peter didn't have a system ability, Quinn had a feeling something like this might just work. His family was linked through the system. The system had also mentioned if Peter and Quinn were fighting near each other, Quinn would get the EXP for it. So it gave Quinn hope that just maybe something like this would work. "Maybe we won't have to wait at all," said Quinn as he accepted the system's suggestion. The book floated in the air and flew over to where Peter was. The pages turned and turned until they hit the very last one. Then the book started to disintegrate in front of everyone's eyes. "Peter Chuck has successfully learned the ability Transform." "Peter, do you want to try transforming into me?" Quinn asked. As a tester, Peter did just that, and slowly his face started to reshape and reform into a second Quinn. It was nearly perfect. There wasn't enough of a difference for someone to notice using their eye. The others watching were amazed by this. Logan was the only one in this room that had an idea of what just happened. While Vorden and Layla had put it down to vampire stuff, they just didn't understand the specifics of what just occurred in front of them. However, there was another vampire in the room who had seen Quinn do something that he had never seen another vampire do before. Just like humans, vampires usually had to take time to learn the abilities that they wanted to learn. Yet, he had just witnessed a vampire learn an ability in an instant. "Just who are you, Quinn?" Fex thought. At that moment, groans could be heard in the room. As they turned around, it seemed that Erin was about to wake up. It was now time to tell her what her fate was going to be. In the room on Logan's computer, 3 different profiles were displayed. It was displaying information about the 3 missing students from the Dalkey attack. Since the transformation skill was at level 5, Peter was only able to imitate a person's facial structure. There wasn't anything he could do about a person's height or physical appearance. This also meant that he wouldn't be able to pretend to be a girl unless one had the same body type as his. Higher-level transformation ability would allow him to do this in the future, but they weren't available in the marketplace. Logan decided to look at the height details and images, trying to select the best one that would suit Peter. Out of the 3, there were 2 that matched Peter the closest. Now, while deciding between which one, Logan opted for the one with less background information and with an ability they could pass off that wouldn't cause too much trouble. Their options were a wind user or the duplication user. In the end, they decided to go for the duplication ability user. It was the best option for them. Peter would no longer have to go to the elemental class and try to pretend to be able to use a certain type of ability. This would make Vorden's job a lot easier, and he would also be able to join Quinn's beast weapon class, allowing him to keep a close eye. Hearing this, Quinn wanted to protest the idea. Out of the 3 men from Ben's group that had attacked him in the desert that day, 2 had died while 1 had lived. That was the same person they were suggesting Peter act as. Quinn had left him in the desert after removing his memory, but he never came back, nor did the search party find him. Perhaps while he was laid on the desert floor, a beast did come and kill him. After thinking about it, he realized if he hadn't come back now, the chances were really low of a person returning. He was most likely dead. Peter looked at the screen and carefully started to morph his face. The student had medium-length brown hair, and one of the finer details about him was he would often wear a bandana that cut off one side of his hair while the other remained up. Finally, Peter would no longer go by his name in the school and would now be known as Pio Blank. Quinn took a long stare at Peter and realized this might have been the better option for him. If he was to look at Peter, a person he had killed or seen die right in front of him day and night, he didn't know how that would make him feel. While this all was happening, the groans from the back were heard as Erin lifted her body off the bed and touched her head. It was ringing with dull pain, and her face felt slightly numb, similar to a migraine. When she looked up, she could see the faces of everyone staring at her, and a person she had never seen before. "Who the heck is the new guy?" Erin groaned. No one said a word, and after a few moments she started to remember everything that had happened to her. Her last words with Jack and what he had planned to do with them. "No, no, no!" she started to scream. There was no need for her to try to use her ability. She could feel that it was no longer with her, but just in case, she tried to form ice in her hand, again and again, but there was no result. "Calm her down before someone outside hears us," Vorden said. Layla quickly rushed over to her side, but Erin couldn't help but scream in anger and sadness. The others had never seen this side of Erin before. It was different for most of them, who had been weak their whole life. If their powers were taken away, it wouldn't make much of a difference. But for Erin, she was high up. Of course, the others didn't know the full story about how much everything meant to her. Losing her ability felt like she had lost everything. All she had left was her swordsmanship, and after meeting Fex, she could tell she was nothing special. "Do you want us to be caught?" Logan said as he threw out a circular device towards Erin. The device opened up mid-air just before reaching her mouth and wrapped around it like a tight-fit mask. The screams had stopped, but the tears continued to run down her face. "Erin, I know you are upset, but right now your situation involves all of us," Logan explained. "I can't have your selfish actions harm me or the others. Now, Layla, I believe you would be the best person to explain to her what we have planned." While Erin's mouth was covered, it was a lot easier for Layla to explain. It gave no option for Erin to complain in between, and allowed Layla to explain everything. She explained how Jack had sent out a search party for her and Peter, how she was part of Pure, and they would be sending her to Pure for protection. Logan then walked up to Erin and had a few words to say himself before taking the device off her mouth. "Now if you scream, it goes back on. The situation is not favorable for any of us, and please trust me. We went through all the options. I even looked into your background and thought about seeing if we could send you back to your family, but that's not possible. Staying with Pure is the only option we have." Logan took off Erin's wristwatch and made a few adjustments to it before placing it back. "We are a bit wary of Pure, so if you need any emergency help, you can contact me through that, although I doubt we will be able to do anything. Do you understand?" Erin nodded calmly. Rather than angry or sad, she seemed to be going through a different stage right now. She was in shock. As soon as the mask was taken off, she started to look at Layla. "Will you be coming with me?" Erin asked with pain in her voice. Layla looked in her eyes and held both of her hands before shaking her head. She knew the next words would hit her hard. "No, I can't. I still have my mission here," Layla replied. At that moment, Erin snapped her hands back. Everything was getting a little too much for her. Her abilities had been taken. She was being treated as a convict by the school. Jack was possibly after her life, and now she had no choice but to join a group. Yet why did this have to happen to her? Was it just her bad luck? Then she started to remember there was one more person who was going through something similar.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.